your stomach calling.
It's shouting!
Burrito! Burrito! Burrito!
Let's gather our ingredients and build this the Aussie way every day. Make it wild, make it savory, make it loud, just like Aussie would. No utensils needed, scarf it down and build another one. Have 900, just like Aussie. Aussie's October burrito.
Hear your stomach calling.
Aussie's October burrito.
Hear your stomach calling.
VHS attack. In your living room, creepy little gremlins, oozing slime in your VCR. Stacks of films to frighten and entertain, hiding in your closet and duplicating on your shelves. It's time to watch. It's time to be scared. Don't look behind you. It's a mess back there. It's a VHS overload. Don't look behind you. It's a mess back there. It's a VHS overload. Oh, 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 oh.
Howdy, gang, and welcome to yet another edition of VHS Overload. And here in a little bit, I'm going to be talking about some of my fave horror VHS covers from 1986. Now, I had some dental work a little bit earlier, and once this side of my mouth is still a little numb. So hopefully I can get through this without stumbling over my words or anything like that. So y'all just y'all bear with me. Otherwise, I'm feeling okay. I mean, my jaw is feeling a little sore, but that's just because I have a small mouth. I talk enough for somebody that's got a huge mouth, but I do have a small mouth. And when I have dental work and I have to have my mouth open for long periods of time, it does make my jaw a little sore. So, and my lip is starting to itch, and I am wanting to scratch it, but when you're still numb, it really doesn't do any good. All right. So I'm going to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way before we get to the movies at hand. And I also wanted to let you guys and gals know that I'm going to be trying to do some Scarefest videos where I break down the guests and all that good stuff. I'm going to be trying to do those here upcoming because about midway through October is going to be Scarefest, and I'm probably not going to go the whole weekend, but I'll definitely be there on the Saturday. I had planned to go visit my parents that day. I was like, oops. I can't go visit them that day, so I'm going to have to pick another day to visit them. I'm glad I hadn't said anything to my mom just yet because she would have been disappointed. So anyway, I wanted to tell you guys and gals about that. I do have a special Movie Munchies that's coming up on October the 26th. Now, keep in mind, I don't do these live anymore because it got to be too hectic to do the Movie Munchies live. It's a lot more relaxed, and if I make a mistake or some catastrophe happens, hey, I don't have to put that video up. I can just, sheepishly tell you guys and gals that, hey, Dana messed up this time with the Movie Munchies. So I don't think this one's going to be too hard, but for those of you that have seen the promo on my site, or you've seen the little promo slash commercial for it, at the beginning of my last few videos and streams, you know that I am planning on doing a special Halloween slash Ozzy Osbourne themed movie munchies, and I'm going to be attempting to create the Ozzy order for a burrito from Chipotle. Now, I've tried to do my research, and some people may say, you're all wrong, and that's okay. I have looked into this, and fans have come up with what they think that Ozzy's order was at Chipotle. So, and you can hear my dog sneezing back there. The air quality here in Louisville has been terrible the last 3 days. So, I've been sneezing. The dogs have been sneezing. We've been coughing and all kinds of stuff. So, just bear with us, folks. So what else have I got lined up for the rest of the week? We do have some days left in our week before we get to the weekend. So tomorrow night will be another horror movie rewind, and I'm going to be talking about all the goofs and trivia that I can dig up on the original Halloween 2, not Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but the original Rick Rosenthal directed Halloween 2. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time will be another They're All Messed Up. I'm going to be talking about Horror High and Massage Parlor Murders and the kills in each one of those films. Friday will be something. I don't know what just yet. But Saturday, we're going to be having a Cujo watch along. That was chosen by you fine folks that frequent my channel. It was chosen by a poll, and I had 3 movies: Cujo, Alligator, and Grizzly. It was a animal attack themed poll this time, and Cujo was the one that won out. So starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, I will be having a watch along for Cujo, and hopefully I can find a copy of it for you guys and gals that want to watch along with me. Because unfortunately, YouTube will not let me stream the movie live for everybody. I have moved up Evil Dead Chick's Hideous Halloween Slumber Party to October 10th, starting at 6 p.m. And why 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Eastern Time? Well, because we're going to be watching 3 movies that night. Halloween from 1978, the original John Carpenter classic. Rick Rosenthal's directed Halloween 2. And yeah, you guessed it, Halloween 3 with the irresistible Tom Atkins making all the moves on the women. And we're going to have a lot of fun that night. Be sure to wear your best PJs. I'm going to be making myself another Nighty Nightmares sleep shirt. Hey, you can pick up your own Nighty Nightmares sleep shirt at deaditesondeck.com, my horror shop. Tell them Poe sent you. Plus, there's a ton of other designs that are available on the shop site. Okay, that's deaditesondeck.com. All right. So before we get to the movies, I just want to do my little spiel here. I am attempting to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's my next milestone. I'm 19 away right now. And here's some ways that you can support me and the channel, and it won't cost you a dime. One way is by subscribing. if you haven't subscribed and you've been kind of dancing around the subject, now is the time, because I have a great giveaway going on for new subscribers only to the channel. I'm giving away 3 5-movie Halloween prize packs of horror movies. Okay, these are not brand new, they have been watched, but they play wonderfully. And where else can you get 5 movies for free, just by subscribing to a channel, right? So that contest is going on now until October 31st, Halloween at 11:59 p.m. is when it will end. And all you got to do is, 1, subscribe, and 2, comment under the video that I put up about the Halloween prize packs, and tell me, and make sure this is the channel handle or screen name that you subscribed under, please. And let me know one that you subscribed and what your channel handle or screen name is, okay? That way I can determine, okay, yes, you are a new subscriber. And then at the end of the submission time, then I will put all of the new subscribers in a hat or some other kind of container. I'm really wanting to get like a plastic pumpkin, since it's going to be November 1st is when I'm actually going to do the drawing. Now I'm going to come on here live to show you guys and gals that everything is above board, and I'm being as honest as I can, right? And you get to see the drawing, and I'm going to draw 3 names out of the hat or container, whatever I'm going to be using. And you winners will get a prize pack from me. So get in on that as soon as you can. That again will run from now until October 31st, Halloween at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, everything's on Eastern time because that's what time zone I'm in. Okay. So if you haven't subscribed, get out there and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the new content that I've got coming out. Hit the like button on stuff you especially like. If you like everything, heck, hit the like button for everything. All of those things help me. And here's one more way that you can help me out. And it won't cost you a dime. And it won't cost the person you tell about this a dime either. Is let friends and family members know about my channel that you think would enjoy the content I'm putting out. And I will be nice and not make y'all go looking for it. I have changed my channel handle to more align with the name of the channel. And so it's just at Deadites on Deck, folks. So share that around, get the word out about my channel, and you can tell them some of the videos and streams and all the fun things that I do. And, as always, I do appreciate super chats, super stickers, people that want to participate in Movie Roulette. And how do you do that? Well, you give a $5 or more super chat during any live stream that I do. That includes this one tonight, includes watch-alongs. If you do that, then you can pick any movie of your choosing for me to watch and do a review of on an upcoming episode of Movie Roulette. And here's another thing, folks. If I make it to 1,000 subscribers, me and Candace are going to do some really cool cosplay, probably on an upcoming episode of Friday Foolish. And I'm going to be Cheryl from The Evil Dead, and Candace is going to be Mrs. Roper from Three's Company. So if you want to see us do that really cool cosplay, all we got to do is get me 19 more subscribers, and it's in the bag, folks. All right. So let's get to these movies. And as I said, I'm going to be talking about my fave horror VHS covers from 1986. And we're starting with The Fly, folks. This is definitely one I remember renting back in my video rental days, probably Dad took us to the video store and we ended up renting it because, yeah, it is rated R, and I know that I was underage at the time. But trust me, folks, my parents were good parents. They just weren't real picky about what they let me watch, unless it was something like I Spit on Your Grave, which I have talked about many, many times, or Last House on the Left, something like that. Those were the things that, those were the heavy duty things that they said, "Hey, Dan, we think you should wait until you watch that." And they were right. But this is not the original Fly, folks. This is the David Cronenberg remake starring Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. And Jeff Goldblum plays scientist Seth Brundle, who is trying to figure out how to prevent people from getting car sick and people that are afraid to ride on planes, to enable them to transport themselves from one pod to another pod that's somewhere else. So guess what he does? Like a lot of other scientists, he experiments on himself. And a little housefly gets in there with him. Computer gets confused, fuses their DNA together, and we've got Jeff Goldblum the Fly soon. Coming soon, folks. And as with many David Cronenberg films, this is about body horror, folks. And it's got body horror in spades. And, you know, you have Jeff Goldblum, even when he's starting to look gross, he's lost his teeth, he's lost his fingernails, they've fallen off, and his face is all messed up. And he wants Gina Davis, who has become his girlfriend, but he's basically hid from her when he starts, you know, it looks like he's decomposing, folks, but he wants her to come film him. And he thinks that, you know, Brundle Fly, as he calls himself, is going to become the next big thing with kids. So he says, "Okay, kids, this is how Brundle Fly eats." And this is one of the more stomach-turning scenes in the film. He says, solid food hurts the fly. So, you know, all of a sudden, this acidy stuff, he vomits up this stuff on a thing of donuts. And he goes on to explain how solid food hurts the fly. So he has to liquefy it and then slurp it back up. So we've got quite a few gross things. There were more gross things. And, you know, I'm guessing the MPAA said, no, you can't do that. But it is a David Cronenberg film. Remember that before you start watching it. But let's talk a little bit about the cover here. There is something inherently frightening about this cover art, because you see something that kind of looks like a leg sticking out of there. It could be a fly leg, right? You see this bright light coming out of the pod, and then the stark black background. And there were actually some covers that said, "Be afraid, be very afraid," which actually adds to the ominous look of the VHS cover. And I absolutely love this movie, and I've loved it from day one of my family renting it and us watching it. And I love the way David Cronenberg took the old story, which those of you that have seen the black and white Fly movie from the 50s, you know that it was, you know, it's fun and it's goofy and stuff. And the guy has a big rubber fly head, and he's seeing his wife multiple times with the flies. But the way David Cronenberg handled it, making it pretty much about a man becoming something else. It wasn't just a rubber head. It was extensive makeup effects. My hat's off to Jeff Goldblum for being able to sit through probably what was hours of makeup to make him look like this horrible, diseased-looking creature. But I usually don't talk so much about the movies, but The Fly is one of my favorites from the 80s. It's one that I always remember. So that's The Fly. And so the next one, and I'll preface this by saying I pretty much love all the Friday the 13th covers. Okay. So this is for Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And like I said, I love all the Friday the 13th covers, but this is a fun one, folks. So you've got Friday the 13th, Part 6. You've got the hockey mask in the background with that bright light going through the eye holes and the other holes in the hockey mask. You've got what appears to be Jason's grave with bright red lettering that says Jason Lives. Friday the 13th is in bright red lettering. It's not real elaborate, but it works. It works because to me, it's intriguing. It's like, okay, we saw pretty much what appeared to be Jason's death and Friday 13th Part 4, the final chapter. And then Part 5, spoiler alert, folks, was a non-Jason, right? We kind of thought it might be Jason, and it turned out that no, it was Roy. It was Roy, the ambulance driver. So by the time Friday 13th Part 6 rolled around, Friday 13th fans were chomping at the bit. And this was a way to get them excited too, because I'm sure a lot of the posters look like this. And when this VHS cover hit shelves at video stores, I'm sure the Friday 13th fans all over went wild for it, because it's kind of reminds me of how we went for years, us Halloween fans went for years without a Michael Myers Halloween movie, right? Because we had 1 and 2, and then we had Halloween 3, which didn't have Michael Myers in it. It's a completely different Halloween story. And then in 88, we got a surprise, because I remember seeing the commercials for Halloween 4. And I was just so excited. Okay. So even though I was only 10 years old in 1986, I watched this stuff, like Jason Lives, much later, right? And probably watched it on TV before I saw it like on a VHS. But whenever I saw these Friday the 13th covers in the video stores around town, I would always gravitate towards those. It'd be like, ooh, another Friday the 13th movie. Let's get this one, take it home, right? So that was the reaction that I had every time I saw a Friday the 13th VHS cover, right? All right. So I don't think I need to go into details about the plot of the Friday the 13th movies. I think everybody pretty much, probably the people that watch my channel, they know what these things are. All right. So the next one is one of my all-time favorites of all time, not just of 1986, but of all time. Okay. And that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I love this parody of The Breakfast Club. And if you don't believe me that that's a parody of The Breakfast Club, the horror version of it, go look at that, the VHS cover and the poster art for The Breakfast Club. I think you'll see some big similarities. And you also get the little tagline, after 10 years of silence, the buzz is back. And you have, a Leatherface back there doing that, that powerful thing that was in the posters and the cover art for the Breakfast Club that John Bender did. Um, and you have, Nubbins there laying down the corpse. Nubbins the corpse. You have Grandpa. You have Chop Top, played by Bill Moseley, and you have the cook, played by Jim Seadow. And this would be, I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say maybe this was the last time that we saw Jim Seadow as the cook. Y'all feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that. This was a Canon Films release. This is a Media Home Entertainment VHS here. But this is definitely one that I remember seeing in the video stores. Because how could you ignore something that looks like this? I mean, it just has fun written all over it. Not only does it have horror written all over it, but it has fun written all over it. And I knew that I was going to have a fun time if I rented this movie. And I'm sure many other people felt that way too. We also have Dennis Hopper is in this as a crazy, what is he? A Texas, like a ex-Texas Ranger lefty. And Caroline Williams is in this as well as Stretch, the DJ. I mean, this movie is just chock full of fun characters and just chock full of fun all the way around. And if you could look, if you were a horror fan in 1986, even if you're a horror fan now, I don't know how you could not rent this or buy it if you saw the VHS back in the days when when they were, after they were no longer $100 a piece. Nobody but video stores really could afford them back when they were $100 a piece. And I remember those days. I would moon over the ads in like Fangoria and Gore Zone that had the full pages of listing the horror films, and you would say, "Ooh, I'd like to have that one, that one, that one, that one." And then you'd look at the price and you'd be like, "Oh," it would take you down a few notches. But anyway, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And the next one, I love this cover too, folks. This is for Night of the Creeps, and it has the very fun tagline. This also has Tom Atkins in it, and he gets to say that really cool, badass tagline. He's badass in this anyway. The good news is your dates are here. The bad news is, or the good news is your date is here. The bad news is he's dead. I think the actual verbiage in the movie, though, is Tom Atkins says, "I've got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here. The bad news is they're dead." And you gotta love Tom Atkins in this. Jason Lively is also in this as well. And the whole idea of your dates for a dance getting mutated or turned into zombies or whatever by these little slug looking things is just great. Pure entertainment. And I always love this is probably my favorite of the covers. I mean, we have some of the Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks that have a very good cover of Jason Lively and his girl on there with guns ready to kill these things, right? You also have Bubba from Mama's Family in this as one of the cocky asshole jocks that picks on Jason Lively and his friend. But this is the cover that I like better than any of the rest of them. just because of how cool and old school it is. And we get that really 80-ish looking font that says Night of the Creeps in red, of course, making it stand out. That and the flowers in contrast to the rest of the cover. All right. So the next one is The Hitcher. And some of you might be thinking, well, that doesn't look very exciting. That cover doesn't look very exciting. Maybe not exciting, but it is creepy as hell to me, because you have the bright white lettering that says The Hitcher. You have the main character who has to go up against the Hitcher because the Hitcher's a crazy ass, right? Played by Rutger Hauer. Very well played by Rutger Hauer. You can almost believe he's a crazy man. And you can see the eyes of the person that's going to have to go up against the Hitcher in the rearview mirror. And then you've got this kind of smoky black and white sky background. You've got the road, you've got the Hitcher in the shadows. And it has the ominous tagline, never pick up a stranger. And, watching this, and even though I knew it wasn't real, the people weren't really getting killed, it still would give you pause if you ever thought about picking up a hitchhiker, right? Because usually people tell you, don't hitchhike, don't take rides from strangers, right? Well, this is the reverse. You pick up a hitchhiker and your life becomes a living nightmare, a living hell. And this guy just will not go away. He's unstoppable throughout the majority of the movie. A very frightening and terrifying movie. And the simple artwork really does it for this cover art, I think. It definitely, just looking at it, makes me, if I hadn't seen it before many, many times, this would definitely make me want to watch it. All right, so The Hitcher. So the next one is one of my favorite, and some people say this is a horrible movie. It's the worst Stephen King adaptation, even though Stephen King did it himself. And that is Maximum Overdrive. Well, for one thing, it's got badass Emilio Estevez on the front of this VHS cover, and the Green Goblin truck, which is featured quite prominently in Maximum Overdrive. And we've got that great metallic looking title, Maximum Overdrive, with the lightning bolts under it. Then, like I said, you've got the badass Emilio Estevez character with a gun, ready to do battle against these trucks that are trying to take over, right? All because of a rogue meteor or comet. Trying to remember which. But it doesn't really matter. It's a rogue something or other, and it causes all the machines to turn on people. But I know I'm going on and on about Emilio Estevez, but I used to have the biggest celebrity crush on Emilio Estevez. I just thought he was, he was something else, So I love this cover art. It's, to me, this cover art is badass. Whether you love the movie, hate the movie, or indifferent about the movie, you got to admit that cover art is badass on this. And you've got to, this has nothing to do with the cover, but you have music almost entirely done by AC/DC. Okay. Stephen King was always a huge fan of AC/DC. So it stands to reason he has his directorial debut, and he's going to have AC/DC music in this. But anyway, that is Maximum Overdrive. The next one is another favorite of mine. I mean, actually, all these that I'm talking about, they're favorites of mine. But this is Critters. And I always have loved the look of the Critters. There's something funny and cartoonish about them, but there's also something malevolent, malicious about them as well. Something hiding behind those rows of very sharp teeth and those almost glowing eyes. And again, this is the cover art I remember seeing in the video stores. And I'm not one to turn down a monster movie or a sci-fi movie or whatever you want to call this, monster / sci-fi movie, because you got these little guys that come to Earth and start causing havoc. And how can you not love them at the same time? I always wanted either a stuffed critter or, just some kind of critter piece of memorabilia. Critter puppet. I think there may have been critter puppets at one time. But again, we have the title creature on the front of the VHS cover, which is smart move. Why not show the money maker, right? And then you have the bright red lettering, which always pops. If you don't have a lot of red in the photo itself, and you have bright red lettering that's kind of offset by the white, I think it really, really pops off of this VHS cover. Now, a lot of these VHS covers we're looking at are old. They're old, folks. And some people might be thinking, well, geez, Dana, this stuff looks like shit. Well, I'm sure it does now, but back in the day, can you imagine seeing this in pristine condition sitting on video store shelves? These things were a hot commodity back then. Okay. So there's Critters. And the next one is another one of my all-time favorites, April Fool's Day. Now, when you first look at this VHS cover, and this was one I rented back in the day, folks, you may not see anything really that stands out. But look a little closer, folks. Okay, so you have the red lettering that says April Fool's Day. It almost seems to be painted on and maybe blood or something. You look a little closer and you see that the woman at the front of this room with the friends in the background all laughing and like, ha ha, it's a big old joke. But you'll notice that she has one of her arms or hands behind her back. She has a large butcher knife. What else do we see if we look closer? And I thought this was genius. Is her hair is braided, but it's braided in the shape of a noose, folks. And so I just love that. There's so much playfulness in this. They obviously want you to laugh and have fun with this movie, but they also want you to be a little bit scared, a little bit uneasy. And that's what's so great about this cover and what's so great about the movie as well, April Fool's Day. And of course, I'm not talking about that movie. Maybe it's just called April Fool's. It might be called April Fool's Day, but I'm talking about the original 1986 April Fool's Day with Deborah Foreman and Deborah Goodrich in it. Yeah, this is a fun one too. It has funny parts in it. It has frightening parts in it. And I think those are so much fun because as soon as you stop laughing, there's usually something to be scared about again. That's the way these types of films work. And if they're done correctly, they can be a lot of fun. And April Fool's Day definitely fit the bill. All right. So that's April Fool's Day. And the next one is one of me and Steve's favorites. Of course, we like the first Demons as well, but Demons 2, The Nightmare Returns, and we've got Let's Party underneath there. Now, I love the close up demon photos, but what is really scary about this cover is in the background, you see a person that you can't really see their facial features or anything in the background. To me, that's what's scary. That's what seals the deal. This stuff up front is really cool, and you're like, oh wow, this is gonna have some cool ass stuff in it. It's gonna have some cool special effects and all that. But what is that in the background? What's wrong with that person in the background? Because we just really can't see, right? And you will see an image like that in the movie when you watch it. But Demons 2 is a lot of fun. This is a cool ass, kick ass VHS cover. This is one I don't remember renting. This is one that I watched a little later on. And then, of course, after Steve and I started dating and got married, we've seen both Demons and Demons 2 numerous times, right? But this, again, is definitely a VHS cover that screams rent me if you were to see it in the video rental stores. And again, it does have that bright red lettering, almost with tiger stripes in it. All right. So the next one, and then I'm going to have, StreamYard will only let me put 10 photos up here, and I had 15 movies I wanted to talk about. So y'all have to bear with me after this one. Chopping Mall, while I add a few more pictures. This is definitely one that I've always loved, because is Chopping Mall a really good movie? No, it's not one to be taken seriously. It's just a lot of goofy good fun, right? And I agree, X-Ray. I agree. And Jim Wynorski directed it. And I got to tell my Jim Wynorski Skyline Drive-In story real quick. Y'all just bear with me here. A few years back, me and Steve went to the Skyline Drive-In. We went recently and saw Mark Price and saw a screening of Trick or Treat from 1986. But a few years ago, we went and we actually camped out. Of course, Steve says he's never doing that again. But I had to go to the restroom, and I wanted to get me something to drink or something to eat too. So I went to the concession area. And Jim Wynorski was there that night, but I had not actually seen him just yet. And when I went into the concession area, who was there but Jim Wynorski? And he smiled and said hello to me. And that was my meeting of Jim Wynorski. I was so shocked that I didn't even go up and talk to him, but I did get to say hello to him. Actually, you say, I saw the movie on TV first when it was called Killbots. When I rented Chopping Mall, I was expecting a slasher. Yeah, I mean, since X-Ray brought that up, I will say that if you had not heard a lot about Chopping Mall and what it was about, it would definitely look like a slasher, right? And, some people might think, well, they did themselves a disservice. They shot themselves in the foot by not having, a more appropriate piece of cover art or poster art. But I just love this because you've got the words Chopping Mall. They're not in red because they're on a red, like, shopping bag. And you see a head in there that's screaming. You see eyeballs. You see a hand in there, maybe an ear and stuff. And it says where the shopping can cost you an arm and a leg, which I think is also a great tagline. Um, but Shopping Mall's a fun little movie. I would urge you to, seek it out if you can find it for free somewhere to watch. I would definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it before. And again, what great cover art. I can't talk about the cover art enough. I mean, I could talk all night sometimes about some of these pieces of cover art, but I won't because I would end up boring you guys and gals, I'm sure. All right, so bear with me, folks, while I add the last 5 of these, and they're going to pop up on the screen. I'm going to have to remove them temporarily. I wish they wouldn't pop up automatically like that, but they do. Maybe there's something I could do to prevent them from doing that, but I agree, X-Ray. They are a lost art, like book cover art, yeah, or album art or anything like that. I completely agree about that. All right, so we got 3 more to put up here, folks. I'm sorry that I have to do it this way. I would really like to have these all already up there, but if you pick more than 10, X-Ray, you say everything is so bland now. Like, I mean that for everything right now. Yeah, it's bland and sterile and all that. I couldn't agree more with that. It's almost like they're afraid to do anything creative. Either that or too lazy to do anything creative. I don't know which it is actually, but all right, got one more to put up here and then we'll go through these last 5, folks. All righty. So here we go. The next one, and the Psycho movies are more movies that I enjoy pretty much all the cover art for them. And although Psycho 3 is not really one of my favorites, I still enjoy it. But I do love this cover art with Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates looking very crazy there, holding that motel key up and stuff, with the Bates house looming in the background with Mother. And if you look closely, Mother is in the window of the Bates home. Those steps that you see Norman standing on many times throughout the films. Not really flashy or anything, just very creative. And something that you look at and say, damn, I'm renting that because I'm going to have a good time with this. And I'm not saying you wouldn't have a good time with Psycho 3. I have a good time with it. It's just not as far up there in the chain for me with the Psycho sequels. Now, nothing compares with the original Psycho. Hey, Gory Tiger. So you've got the red lettering with the crack running through it where it says Psycho 3. Anthony Perkins' name is really large above Psycho 3, but it's in white. So because you want the title to stand out more, right? And I love the way they put the light in the window. So if you're really looking, you will see the shadow of Mother there. And the steps looking ominous there. The Bates home looking ominous and brooding. The sky that looks like it's about to split, thunder and lightning at any point in time. Yeah, really, really good cover art for that one as well. All right. Now, I was talking about Trick or Treat from 1986 just a few minutes ago. And of course, it is on my list of Fave horror VHS covers. So we have Sammy Kerr surrounded by fire. It says Trick or Treat, the title in orange. You have one of the demon monsters there with the long tongue. And the tagline, "What are you afraid of? It's only rock and roll." The movie itself, if you've never seen Trick or Treat, of course, it has the great Ozzy Osbourne and the great Gene Simmons from Kiss. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't from Kiss, but Gene Simmons was. I didn't want anybody to think that I was like, they might be thinking, like, what is Naya talking about? But we have Gene Simmons playing Nuke, the local DJ, and we have Ozzy Osbourne playing the straight-laced Reverend Gilstrom in the film. The furthest thing from Ozzy Osbourne that there could ever be, and that's why I find it so entertaining. He's not in a lot of scenes, but it's still a treat to get to see him in the film Trick or Treat. This movie has a kick-ass soundtrack by Fastway. It has Tony Fields, who was a solid gold dancer, being this very evil rock star who's come back from the dead because he burned himself up dabbling with the evil stuff that he shouldn't have been doing. And then he comes back to take his number one fan down a dark road. Eddie Weinbauer, played by Mark Price, who I met at the Skyline Drive-In quite recently when we went to see the screening of Trick or Treat. But I love this cover art. It's not elaborate or anything. And the part with Sammy Kerr looks a little cartoonish, but it works. It pops in the right places. I'm pretty sure, again, that this was one that I rented, and I'm sure that I saw that cover art. And, of course, a lot of these, if you turn it over on the back, you'll see Gene Simmons' picture, Ozzy Osbourne's picture, Mark Price's picture, Tony Fields' picture as Sammy Kerr. And I just say, how could you not rent this or buy it if it was available to buy? All right. So that is Trick or Treat. You got 3 more, folks. So the next one is Witchboard. Witchboard is, again, one that I rented. And let me tell you a little story about Witchboard, folks. Witchboard was the first movie I ever rented after my family got a VCR. The very first movie that I rented. And of course, me being the huge horror fan that I am, I had to get a horror film, right? So I love this ominous cover art. So you have Witchboard, the title, in red, and it's sort of like a witch-looking font. You have an axe. You have the ominous tagline, "Don't play it alone." You have the creepy face of Mal Fedor. If you don't know who Mal Fedor is, you definitely need to watch this film. This is one I'm going to pull out for Halloween time. I pull out 2 Kevin Tenney movies, Night of the Demons, which is, of course, explicitly a Halloween film, Halloween time of the year film, and Halloween themed film. But Witchboard also feels like a Halloween film. And they're both, like I said, directed by Mr. Kevin Tenney. This is a kind of simple cover, but a very ominous, makes you uneasy type of cover as well. You also have Tawny Katane, God rest her soul, her picture on there screaming with the axe kind of covering part of the photo. Witchboard is a fantastic horror film, and this is some fantastic cover art as well. All right, 2 more to go, folks. So the next one is Sorority House Massacre. Who will survive the final exam? Basically. So you have a girl who looks like she's getting ready to take off her clothes there. And you have somebody creeping around outside, looking through the window, looking through the blinds. And you have Sorority House, part of the title in white. But when you get to Massacre, they were smart yet again by putting the Massacre part of the title in red, and it seems to be dripping blood. This was another one that I ended up renting solely based on the cover art, folks. And it might be a little cheesy in some places, but I still always have a lot of fun with both Slumber Party Massacre and Sorority House Massacre, right? The originals of both franchises are fantastic. All right. So the last one I want to talk about tonight is Killer Party, and this came under the Key Video label when it first came out. What I've discovered about videos under the Key Video label, there was this one and Terror Train, and I ended up paying $22 for a VHS of Terror Train back in the day. Because I had never seen Terror Train, and I wanted to watch it, and I thought at that time the only way, I could watch it was to get a VHS. Okay, Killer Party was another one that was very hard to find before it ended up on Blu-ray and stuff. So, but I do love this cover art because you have a girl who seems to be dancing kind of like a prom type dance with a guy. But if you look closely, the guy has a skeleton hand, and he's, kind of, I guess, unzipping the back on her dress. She's got a corsage on. But there's something very ominous about that hand that it looks like it's a man because you can see the chin and everything, and that all looks human. But then you're like, what the heck? Because this guy's got a skeleton hand. Killer Party's a fun movie. It's actually an April Fool's Day type of film, and I watch it around April Fool's Day every year. Again, some people might think, well, this is sort of boring, but you've got the bright pink, you've got the rainbow colors, and then you've got that center picture with the girl slow dancing with the guy with the skeleton hand. And then you've got streamers coming down and all that. I think it just works because this was a movie that the first time I watched it, I was like, this movie didn't know what it wanted to be. But then the more I thought about it, it seemed like maybe it was by design, because it started out as a slasher movie, and then part of the way through it turned into an Evil Dead movie. And if you don't believe me, you need to check out Killer Party. Has some very spooky sequences in it as well. But that is the last cover I wanted to talk about tonight. And now I've got 8 people in here when I'm almost ready to get off here. I hate that. But hopefully you guys and gals that came in late can check out the full version of this when I end this live stream. So I want to thank X-Ray and Gory Tiger for being here in the chat with me, keeping me company tonight. I want to thank all of you that stopped in to watch at least part of this live stream. And I also want to thank those of you that will watch this on the replay, because each and every one of you that watch it, no matter how you watch it, are important. And it shows that you support the channel and me to some extent. So be sure to check out Horror Movie Rewind tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be seeing what kind of trivia and goofs I can dig up to share with you folks for Halloween 2. Remember, this is the original 1981 Halloween 2, directed by Rick Rosenthal. Okay? It's not the Rob Zombie one, folks. Just wanted to make that plain. Thursday will be another They're All Messed Up, also starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be talking about horror high and massage parlor murders. And I don't know what I'm going to do on Friday, but I'm sure I'll do something on Friday for you folks. It'll be a surprise. But Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time will be a watch along for Cujo. So be sure to check out all the things I've got upcoming, even October 10th, Hideous Halloween Slumber Party, where we're going to be watching Halloween 1 through 3, folks. 1978's Halloween, 1981's Halloween 2, and yeah, you guessed it, the Tom Atkins Steam Fest. That is Halloween 3, folks. All right. So I guess that is it for me for tonight. Thank you, guys and gals. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another. Just like my shirt says, folks, be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday night, folks. And get out there, blast some Aussie, and try your best to live the Aussie way. And what do I mean by that? Don't stay stuck in the past, folks. Live your life in the present, move on into the future, and never, ever give up on your dreams. I love each and every one of you out there, and I'll see everybody next time.